Good morning. This is the third segment in our series of anecdotes on abortion. This is the important one because this is the one that involves you. You're standing now at a fork in the road and you're going to have to choose which road to walk down. We shall walk down the road that says that these thoughts and desires in our mind and bodies having to do with actually getting the gal pregnant, actually impregnating the gal, have to do with creating a new human life. First you have to be taught that, and then you choose it. You also have to live in a society that chooses that as its social norm. In addition, you have to get that gal everything she needs and wants, and in the end you do it because Christ rose on the third day. The Pope holds the moral high ground, so we put the Pope in charge, then we as a society hold the moral high ground. The United States in the 1950s was trying to do just that, and they were doing a very good job of it. They had this huge middle class, and they described life in the United States as being easy. They were the envy of the world. Now, is that little man inside of mommy's tummy a human being? Yes, that little man inside of mommy's tummy is a human being. It doesn't take a research lab at a university to figure that out. So when somebody stands in front of you and says otherwise, they're not being quite candid. And they're not being quite candid for some reason, and it's those reasons we have to stop and address. I remember from our other anecdotes that those reasons turn into different personalities, and they turn into different people in different groups that form a ladder in front of us. At the very bottom of that ladder are the people that are the girls whose lives they've trashed and whose lives they now hide behind, and they're the very gals that we're trying to stand up for. If that's you, you're the gal and you find yourself pregnant and you're absolutely beside yourself, you have no money, no place to go, and don't know what to do, well, you're in our camp, you're in our gang in the playground. In addition, there's the idea of being normal and well-adjusted. To be normal and well-adjusted is not a natural thing. You have to get into character similar to the way an actor gets into character, and you often feel that you aren't making the grade, you can't make the grade. If that's you, there's a famous philosophical phrase, to know you know it. You have to be taught that, but once you're taught that, you just laugh and have fun with it. Christ is a perfect person. You and I aren't going to come close to being a perfect person, and so you just laugh and tell that man of yours that he's just going to have to put up with all your little faults and idiosyncrasies, and please come across with a credit card and keep your mouth quiet about it, and that's it. We've arrived. Now we can get started wiping out poverty. Above that, the next rung on the ladder are the gals and guys who caused it all. They're the ones who cashed in on everything and changed our society from a large middle class to a peasant and property class society with themselves as the upper class. They have no sense of love and no sense of guilt in them, and they're now the ones that are running the universities and the huge bureaucracies in government. If you're living in poverty, you're the one that's been aborted. They aborted you. They aborted a judicial court and a judicial press. A judicial press to establish facts that are true as true. They aborted the idea of being normal and well-adjusted. In life, there are people who are nice, and there are people who just aren't very nice, and they are people who just aren't very nice. Above that are the communists, and they have as a routine to prey on the chimpanzee side of our human nature and Mother Nature, and they use economics, and they push our society to the point where it completely collapses. Everybody starves in the streets, and they come in and take over and do it again at a larger scale. It's a successful tactic, and now it's a well-documented tactic, and abortion is just part of all that. Above that is the nightmare of nightmares. It's Karl Marx's fatal flaw. The idea that you put cream in coffee and everything comes to an equilibrium, and if you do things at a large enough scale, then the economics will just fall into equilibrium, and it'll just run itself, and everybody will live happily ever after. But it simply just doesn't work that way. The Chinese communists, for example, Darwinized from the Russian communists, and they are far more ruthless and far more violent than the Russians, and that's evidently how evolutionary biology works. Will we have another world war? Well, probably. Will somebody dump nuclear waste in the oceans and that sort of thing? Well, inevitably. To go in the other direction is to go against Mother Nature. This brings us back. Let's go back to walking down our road. We have to add a few things, and one is violence. To even talk about abortion, you're going to have to face people who are going to attack you viciously and violently. And you just have to face up to that. It's not your decision, you have no choice in it, and you don't have any say in the matter. In addition, you're going to have to face fear. Your attitude changes when you face fear, and you're just going to have to find a way to change it back. Also, in addition, you're going to have to defend a third person. When they're bigger than you, they simply attack you. When you're bigger than them, they simply attack somebody else. So you're just going to have to defend a third person, and you have to have a good reason for it. In addition, when they attack you, you're going to have to count on that third person to defend you. We're right back to where we started from, aren't we? It keeps going back to the same thing. What takes away your free will? Well, fear and sex and ignorance and violence. And there's that argument of decency, willing the good of another person. And they go together like two segments of the lowercase letter I, and holding Christ's divinity as faith, whatsoever in those priests and nuns. That's the dot on the lowercase letter I. I shall be an American Yank. I can't be an American Yank without being Catholic, so I shall be Catholic. An American Yank appears. I shall straighten myself up emotionally. I shall be a good citizen, and then I shall be a good husband and wife, and then a good father and mother, and then a good citizen. And after all this, let's talk about abortion. I talk about abortion by standing up for the good guys. I'll stand up for that child. I'll stand up for the gal who will take care of that child. I'll stand up for the guy who will take care of that gal. It clicks in and becomes one unit. So I shall stand up for home economics. I shall stand up for a normal supply and demand curve. I shall stand up for an American Yank, and that's how you fight abortion. I shall walk down this road. I hope you walk down this road too. Others are counting on you to win.